Cyan Blake was a British actress and director who was able to shine and use her talents within the entertainment industry. She was also a devoted mother who loved her children and would have done anything for them in order to better their circumstances. Unfortunately, Cyan struggled not only with a terminal illness, but with an unhealthy relationship, which would ultimately lead to her and her children's demise. I'm gonna take a deep dive into the life of Cyan Blake, and I will discuss the circumstances leading up to their deaths and the lengths their killer had to go through in an attempt to escape persecution. Cyan Samantha Blake was born on September 1972 in England, UK. She was the youngest of 3 children and had studied in the Guildford School of Acting. When she was just 6 years old, her parents divorced, and her father sadly passed away from a heart attack when she was 18 years old. Cyan's acting career first began in 1994 when she landed a role of a bulimia patient in that year's Christmas episode of Casualty. Cyan then landed a role on the show EastEnders from 1996 to 1997.
The last time I tried for us to be friends, I let Carol put me off. Alan, I don't see why I should give up the chance of seeing someone I like.
Look, we just got to play it cool, that's all.
Play it cool. You don't want to think we're having an affair.
On the show, Cyan portrayed a fictional character that was known to be a homewrecker who tries to ruin established relationships by targeting and seducing men. She was initially signed up on a 6-month contract, which was later extended. Cyan unfortunately decided to leave the series due to receiving hate mail from viewers who despised her fictional character. Throughout her career, she had smaller roles on television series such as Doctors, The Bill, and Skins. Besides TV, she was also a voice actor in the 2015 video game Final Fantasy XIV: Heaven's Ward.
Despite the many great and noble things I said, in truth I am not of Doma. I was born beneath the waves of the Ruby Sea.
Cyan had also appeared in and directed in a number of theater productions. She acted in Joe Guy, Love's Labour's Lost, and Twelfth Night, while directing Oxford Street at the Soho Theatre and The Burial at the Almeida Theatre, until she retired from acting to become a sign language interpreter. During her career in the early 2000s, Cyan had met her partner, Arthur Simpson Kent, who was a hairdresser. In the beginning of the relationship, they shortly split, and Arthur went to go live in France. Upon his return in 2005, the couple got back together and moved in together before having their 2 kids, Zachary and Amon. According to Cyan's family, the couple was known for having an unhealthy relationship, and there were even talks of separation. Cyan's relationship with Arthur wasn't an easy thing to deal with, especially after her medical diagnosis. You see, on December 11th, 2015, Cyan was diagnosed with a degenerative motor neuron disease. Motor neuron disease, or MND for short, is a rare condition that progressively damages parts of the nervous system, leading to muscle weakness. MND happens when specialist nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord, called motor neurons, stop functioning properly and die early. This is known as neurodegeneration. Motor neurons control muscle activities such as gripping, walking, speaking, swallowing, and breathing. She first started to show signs of it back in September 2013. So, with her struggling with her illness and her relationship, 43-year-old Cyan, along with her boys, 8-year-old Zachary and 4-year-old Iman, decided to visit her mother, Lindell Blake, in Leighton, East London, on December 13, 2015, to discuss plans for her, Arthur, and the boys to move in with her mother. However, Lindell was not too keen on having Arthur stay with her and rather just her daughter and grandkids move in. Cyan had appeared to accept the decision and agreed to move in over the Christmas period. When Cyan and her boys left her mother's home that day, it would be the last time that they were seen alive. And that was because on the next day, Arthur found out about Cyan's plans to leave him. So he killed his family with heavy, deliberate, repeated blows with an unknown blunt instrument. He also cut and stabbed them with a bladed weapon in a way that ensured their deaths. Since Cyan's condition weakened her arms and hands, she had the inability to defend her life and the lives of her children. Afterwards, he wrapped them in plastic and sheeting and buried them in the garden. He also laid a concrete slab on them and covered them with dirt before painting over the bloodstains in the home. In his haste to get rid of all possessions belonging to his deceased family, Arthur contacted a charity to take away all clothing and belongings connected to Blake and her boys, and burned some items in the garden. Cyan's family, such as her sister Ava and her mother Lindell, hadn't heard from her, which was unlike her. So they decided to report her missing on December 16, 2015. So on the same day, authorities visited Cyan's house in Erith, southeast London, and they were met by Arthur, who told him that Cyan and the kids had went to see a friend in Cambridge because Cyan was upset that her family and Arthur weren't getting along. Authorities left his home, but later returned 4 hours later at 8 p.m. But the home was in complete darkness, empty, and locked up. It had been apparent that Arthur deceived the police and had taken off with Cyan's car, a silver beige Renault Scenic. Arthur deliberately attempted to mislead not just authorities, but also Cyan's family as well. Arthur had left a text from Cyan's phone to her sister Ava saying, "I'm taking time to myself and my children, without constant opinions from family and friends." Another says, "I have had enough of appeasing everyone. We are away, and I will not be calling or speaking to anyone for a few months." At this point, her family and authorities had no clue where Cyan had gone, and there were public appeals for any info on the family, and labeled Cyan a high-risk missing person because of her terminal illness. What police didn't know was that Arthur was thousands of miles away and had abandoned Cyan's vehicle in London and traveled to Glasgow and flew from there to Ghana, his birth country, after using his friend's card to book the flight. Arthur had sent a message to his friend saying, "I can't go into details about what I have done, but I only have two choices. Go to Ghana, one way, or die." While in a Ghanaian town, Arthur had confessed to a man that he had killed his girlfriend first, and then he had killed the two children afterwards. He was also seen partying on New Year's Eve and seen taking two young women to a cafe the next morning. 2 days later, he was caught by the local police, and in his desperation, he told the police that Cyan and him had a murder-suicide pact, where it was agreed that he would murder his family because of Cyan's terminal illness and his poor relationship with her family. But of course, there was no evidence supporting this. While Arthur was in Ghana, Cyan and her children's bodies were discovered in the afternoon of Tuesday, January 5th, 2016, buried in shallow graves in the garden. Cyan's sister Ava knew for certain that Arthur was responsible for their deaths, and that she had a feeling something terrible had happened to them when she hadn't heard from Cyan for some time.
Never felt that her health was the issue, okay? The issue was the relationship with Arthur, and nothing to do with her health. Nothing that I ever felt that she would harm my nephews or herself. Cyan is not that kind of person. She phoned Mum every day, and if Mum didn't pick up the phone, it would be like, Mum, where are you? Are you in the garden? Are you in the bathroom? It would be like a little sing-song, I'll call you later. And she would call and call until she got Mum. So when that didn't happen after Monday, you know, it sort of started alarm bells ringing, but not to what it's ended up being.
On February 2016, Arthur was extradited to the UK and was charged for the murders and had to stand trial. Then in April, Arthur admitted to the killings. Afterwards, in June, Arthur pleaded guilty to all 3 counts of murder in court. Arthur Simpson Kent was sentenced to life imprisonment by a judge who no doubt believed that Arthur deserved the most severe punishment available for his truly horrific crimes. In her impact statement, Cyan's mother said, "We live knowing that Cyan and the children would have been scared, terrified before that monster slaughtered them in their home, a place they should have felt safe and secure. Cyan was unable to protect her precious children. Lil Zachary find back trying to protect his mother, himself, or his little brother from his own father. Our nights are now sleepless, despite our constant tiredness and extreme sadness, which never leaves us." A statement from her sister says, "I want him to face justice. It's my nephews more than anything. My brother is angry. My cousins are angry. They are angry about Cyan, but the boys have devastated us. We have lost a generation. We can never replace them. It is unfortunate that Cyan and her children, who would be classified as disabled and vulnerable, were murdered at the hands of someone that they trusted and who was supposed to protect them from harm's way. Cyan was living with a terminal illness which would have eventually taken her life. So it is sad that she wasn't able to live her life as much as she could before passing away peacefully. Some may believe that things could have been different if she had left without telling him. Most times when you tell your lover, an abusive one at that you are planning on leaving them, they're likely to react negatively, and so anything can happen in the heat of the moment. That's why if you are planning on leaving the relationship, leave the safest way you can to minimize any danger, especially when there are children involved. That is all for now on this case. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video if you want. Your support is greatly appreciated. And I will see you next time on Melanin Mysteries.